All right, welcome everybody to this webinar, bonus webinar for the Newswire. As we get through, we got a few people that are coming in, but I want to find out because I have a small group here compared to a lot of webinars for you guys that are in there and getting busy with this stuff. How many of you have started working the system, have dug into the Newswire? How many of you have published out a release so far? Let me know that, and I can see where you're at. All right, Doug, you have one out there? Anybody else? Andy's got a couple going out there. All right. All right, perfect. A couple said haven't had time. Vera's gone through the training. All right, so here's what I'm going to talk about, because a lot of you, how many of you are doing these based on, using SEO for doing it for key phrases, long tail key phrases, that kind of thing? I want to see how many of you are using that, because we're going to be talking about a different way of doing this and kind of a model, and not saying that the way that you're doing or the way that can be used is wrong. It's just not what I do, and so I want to make sure that everyone's good. Everybody will agree today. Who wants real answers instead of easy answers? All right, so throw that in the question box. If you want real answers, put real. If you want easy answers, put easy. I don't like easy answers. I like real answers. So I'm not going to tell you stuff that I don't do, and I'll be flat out honest with you. A lot of you know that I am not an SEO guy as far as in the traditional sense, so I'm not even going to get into that. What I'm going to talk about is how to use this on the what I call reputation manufacturing, credibility manufacturing, in ways to approach these folks. Now, I know I originally talked about this at one of Michael's live events. Gosh, it must have been close to 2 years ago. And I think he may have incorporated some of this into his training, but I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure yet, so you guys can let me know. But I think he did start, or someone in the there in the organization may have started talking about some of this stuff. But I'm going to get deep into this on how to use this to not only not doing SEO or long tail type of keywords, your traditional keyword research, but also how to use this to work your way into higher end clients much easier. So if that's okay with you, just want to make sure I set that up. And so what I want to talk about is I call it online media marketing, online media strategist, and really it's an online media authority. We're going to go over the strategy, and then I'm going to get to your participation in the Kindle bestseller book that we're going to be putting out. I know some of you or a lot of you are here because you want to get that knocked out, and I do too. But first, if you could throw in the chat, what do you call yourself? What is your title? Be honest. Are you an SEO? Do you consider yourself an SEO consultant, internet marketing, social media? Tell me what your title is, what title you use when somebody asks you, what you are, what you do. Throw that in there just so I kind of get a good mix of what the group is. All right. Today, marketing coach, online media strategist, very good. Carrie, lead generator, very good. Design, video, SEO. Consult, okay. So we've got a good mix of what the folks are calling themselves. So this is really good. Good stuff here. Okay, fantastic. So what I want you to think about yourself as you're doing this is think of yourself as an online media marketing, really online media marketing expert. You're not going to say that to someone else, but think about that. Your online media marketing strategist, online media marketing authority, because really what is online media? It's a different way of saying the same thing that a lot of you probably already do. Online media. I see there's folks here that do video. How many of you do video? How many of you do social media? How many of you do? It's all online media, but it's a different twist. And one of the great things that I really like about this is, especially if any of you guys have been turned away from BNI networks or networking groups that require you to be, they only allow one of each type. This is something that you really can go in and if they say, oh, we already have that, you can say, oh, great, because that's not what I do. We should be able to do a lot of business together. So regardless of what they say, your answer can always be, well, they're great because that's not what I do. And I'm going to tell you, this is some really, really powerful stuff. If any of you have dug into this or talked to any businesses about this, then you see Mickey. Oh man, new media consultant. I like that. That's a great title there. So we're talking about online media authority, and so throw your questions in here. We don't have a huge group, which is really a treat for me because I won't be able to answer questions and dig into some of your individual opportunities that you have. So definitely get those questions together. I'm terrible at multitasking, so I'm going to go through some of this and I'll try to bounce over to the questions as I can. So let me go ahead and play this here. All right. So online media authority, really I'm going to jump right in, no fancy presentations, get right to the meat of the things with the real answers. When you're doing this, what you want to do is you want to kind of limit yourself contacting high value businesses. Not that there's anything wrong with it at all, and if it's something that you're good at and you do it, I'm not trying to dissuade you from it, but this is not something that you approach the plumber and the roofer about, unless it's a pretty big volume business. This is going to be more of your professional type services, and we'll talk about that. But it's definitely high value businesses, businesses that you want to get a higher fee for on a per client basis. And introduce yourself as an online media strategist, all right? Writing an article and a request for a quick interview. And just so I can jump in here, this right here, what I'm talking about, is a way to talk to higher value businesses without, let me get this, you're going to see my setups here every now and then because of the way this is set up for me to bounce away and see your questions. This is a way for you to be able to approach higher value businesses that normally you have a bit of a gatekeeper, right? How many of you have approached folks that are higher, like doctors, attorneys, health professionals, that kind of thing, that have gatekeepers in there? It's very tough to get through to them, to talk to them about their marketing. What I want you to do is kind of take your marketing hat off when you're approaching these folks and put on your hat as a media strategist or even a journalist, right? So I want you to kind of think about that now, get in that frame of mind. Can everybody get in that frame of mind? Kind of take your SEO hat off, take your website design hat off, and think of yourself as someone that is a media strategist to position someone, because that's really what our opportunity is, positioning someone as an expert, as a credible authority in their industry. Does everybody kind of understand that angle? Just put a Y in the question box if you do. I want to make sure that everyone's crystal clear on how we're approaching this. All right, you got a few people who said, love to take that hat off. Andy likes that. Okay, very good. So you're not going to be approaching anybody you will not be calling anyone saying, can I set an appointment to talk to you about your marketing? Is everybody okay with that? Because that's not what this is. You're not going to be contacting anyone to set up sales calls. You're not going to be set up anything, with that. So I want to make sure we're clear. So I'm going right into this whole acquiring a higher value clients, right? Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to introduce yourself to that online media strategist, and that you're writing an article and want to request a quick interview. And during that quick process, I'm going to give you the psychological triggers in there, because you're going to create curiosity and desire around what you are doing during this interview process. All right, and you're going to show extreme value with this interview. and we'll talk about how you're going to do that. And it's very, very simple to do. And then you're going to offer a broader and deeper exposure with continuity to be able to keep this going and do this on a regular basis. I will tell you, I'm breaking out again, this right here, what I'm telling you right now, is so much easier to fulfill than a lot of things that a lot of people are trying to fulfill. As far as, people that sell the front page of Google and having to worry about, well, what happens when I get them to the front page of Google? And people don't call this. That is not what you're selling at all. What I want you to get out of your mind, and not that it's wrong, and it's not that I always say that everybody has a way, right? There's no the way. That you are not selling traffic with this. You're not selling traffic at all. And I'll go deeper into that if we need to, but you are not selling traffic. What you're doing is you're selling the credibility. You are creating a tipping point for the people that are finding them already. That's why you go after higher value folks that maybe already have SEO. They already have pay-per-click, and we can go deeper into that conversation. But that is not what you're selling. You are not selling traffic. So I want you to get that out of your head as well. All right, and so high value clients like doctors, attorneys, people in finance. Can be mortgage folks. It could be people that do stockbrokers, do financial advice, health and fitness professionals. It works very, very good for, and people in the real estate. Not just agents. You can go after to higher end agents, mortgage companies, just about anything. Really, the perfect sweet spot for this are high-end folks that are in Me Too businesses. And when I say that, a Me Too business, I'm saying like personal injury attorneys. You think about it, what they offer is not really much different if you just look at them next to each other, apples to apples. The actual the services that they offer, there's not a whole lot that can be separated. And what you want to do is create that tipping point. Why should someone pick them? Personal injury attorneys, they spend a ton of money on traffic. And the problem is they're seen right next to, 5 to 7 of their competitors. And what's the difference between them? That's really one of the easiest ways to help attorneys not get more traffic. A lot of them are getting plenty of traffic. That help them is to get the traffic that they're already getting to pick them, rather than trying to increase pay-per-click budget and all that. Most of them, almost every personal injury attorney I've ever talked to or worked with has all the traffic they need to get higher, to get more clients in there. The problem is that there's no compelling reason for the people that are finding them to pick them over anyone else. So as online media strategists, part of it, you can think about it as conversion, but we're not even going deep into conversion into the sales aspect of it. We're not even going to conversion as far as copywriting. We're going into the conversion as far as credibility. Because when someone's hiring an attorney or someone's going to have a doctor, cut them open, it's not about who has the best sales message. Oftentimes it's like, who do I feel confident is going to give me the best result out of this? And oftentimes they look for third party. They're looking for any indication that this person is going to be able to provide them with the result that they're looking for, and not necessarily in the form of a sales pitch. So when you're calling these folks, you're not calling to sell them anything. Get that out of your head. You're not selling them websites. You're not selling them social media. You're not selling them SEO. Don't even bring that up or talk to them about that or what you're doing. All you're doing is you're just calling them because you want to interview them as a subject matter expert in their field. This is important, and I'll probably hammer this and be redundant about this. Can everybody write that down? That, right now, just put number 1, your first goal, that first benchmark. You just want to interview them as a subject matter expert. That is it. Can everybody agree to that? Put an I if you get that concept and you understand what I'm doing with this. When you call someone, you are just the benchmark for success is I just want to interview them as a subject matter expert. All right, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to create curiosity and desire. Curiosity and desires are two very, very strong very strong emotions. A lot of what we're going to be doing with this strategy is selling to emotion. We're hitting the dopamine button in their brain, and people respond much differently when they're making decisions based on emotion and ego versus logic. And this is a very easy and quick way to get into that space. All right, what you're going to do is you're going to create curiosity and desire to where they want to find out how you can help them. That you can help them to get recognition as an expert, to want to work with you because you're connected and you can manufacture a good reputation and even an expert and authority status for them. Right here is where the ego comes in, the dopamine button. They are going to look at you as someone that can get them recognition as an expert, that can help them manufacture, create a good reputation, build a reputation, and even expert and authority status. And I'm not even talking about getting 5 stars on a review. All right, that's not even part of what you're doing. This is something much deeper on a psychological basis. And the end result of this is for them to want to contact you to find out how they can do work with you, rather than you doing a sales pitch. There's really no sales pitch in this at all. There's never a time where you are going to, unless they dig it out of you and extract it out of you, you won't have to face a sales pitch of rejection, at least face to face on this. All right, so let me go through. All right, we're going to show extreme value when we do this. You're going to publish this interview of article, positioning them as the expert with no other search engine optimization other than their name and business name. This is where people go astray. I need you to really try to pull in the reins, to stop thinking like an SEO person, to stop thinking as a traffic person, because there's such a thing as going overboard. It's what I call the whole minimum effective dose. All right, you can go over your minimum effective dose with this if you start going into traffic and getting the phone ringing off the hook because you're thinking like an internet SEO person. That is not where your value lies, and don't feel that that is where your value needs to be when you're doing this. All right, your value is positioning them as an expert with no other. Don't even get into it. It's very difficult with the traffic or stats or views or anything like that. I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. It is, but it's something that you want to leave out as you're doing this initial part, because you're going to see how much value you have without any of that. All right, and then what you're going to do is offer even broader exposure. You're going to offer them a chance to work with you, but not necessarily pitch them hard on anything. And to work with you as position them as the local expert for their industry. And if you're wondering how that benefits them, it benefits them tremendously. Folks that I work with go on to be invited onto TV shows and radio shows, local shows, because they are positioned as that expert. All right, so before we go into it goes like this, into this strategy, I want to make sure everybody is kind of on the same path, right? Everybody see where your value is. Can everybody take off their SEO glasses and get out of the traffic generation the mindset? And like I say, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's not part of what this is. If I could say that you could actually build up a clientele of folks that would be happy with you just doing things that on SEO, on their name and their business name, to make good stuff come up about them when people are doing their due diligence on them. And that could be the limit. You could have someone else, I have clients that have full SEO firms, that have pay-per-click firms that do all that stuff for them. And I strictly work with them on their credibility and their expert building. All right. Does everyone understand the benefit and the power of that? That you don't have to go beyond that. You don't have to go and promise I'm gonna get you on the front page of Google for, back pain chiropractor, and you're going to have the phone ring off the hook. That's not at all what we're doing, and it's not something that is necessary for you to do if that's not what you're good at. All right. So looks like everybody's got that. Okay. So here's where the process goes. So we're going to talk like we're going to be talking to a chiropractor. If you call up a chiropractor, say, "Hi, this is Jack Mize. I need to speak with Dr. Big Shot. Thank you." Right? Shut up. If they ask you what you're doing, and this is, chances are when the phone rings, you're not going to get to Mr. Big Shot doctor, right? You're going to get to a gatekeeper, whether it's a receptionist, an assistant, someone. It's oftentimes with these type of professionals, it's tough to get through to them to even begin the conversation. But this is really one of the easiest ways. When the question comes up, sure, what is it that what is this about? What is this referring to? You say, "I'm writing an article on the advantages of chiropractic care for problems other than back pain. I was counting on Dr. Big Shot as a local expert on this subject matter." All right, and everybody look at this. These two said, "Hi," and so, "This is your name. I need to talk to whoever, doctor, the financial person. I'm writing an article on XYZ, and wanted to see if I can count on Mr. Expert as an expert, subject matter expert in this field." All right, so I want you to let that soak in. What do you think is different about that approach than calling and saying, "Excuse me, can I talk to Mr. Doctor so-and-so about their marketing plan?" All right, we got a small group here, so that's why I want to get some interaction here and see and make sure everyone is getting really what the power of this is. Yeah. So you're not. So what you're doing, and do you see the immediate? If you talk to that gatekeeper about I want to talk to you about SEO or your internet marketing, there's a very low chance that you're going to get through. But if you say, "I want to interview the person as a subject matter expert," do you see where it almost takes the opposite extreme to a fear of not getting through, or a fear of not making sure that you are talking with this, right? So this is one that is very, very it's a much different approach, and you're not coming in there as a salesman. You're coming in as a completely different someone that's going to benefit them and build up their credibility and their authority in this. All right, so that's the simple piece of approaching this. All right, you're going to get through the gatekeepers quickly. You start conversations without the pressure of selling, and not to beat that into it, but I know so many people have such a aversion to selling any of this stuff that's not what you're doing. You're not going to do it, but what you're going to do is build their desire to work with you. All right, so this is the action plan, but you must have the mindset going into this. You must have the mindset that I am here. Put on your journalist hat, put on a reporter's hat, that I am here to position them, to talk to them as the expert, and remove the expectation of a sale of anything. But you're going to find something very, very different happens when you start talking to them about that, because their guard goes down as far as the sales process, but their dopamine button gets hit and their ego gets heightened. And so you're talking to a much different prospect than you would if you went in to sell anything. All right, so here's basically the action plan. First of all, pick your prospects. All right, pick your prospects. So real quickly, some of you, tell me who you are looking at. What type of prospects are you looking at, or do you focus on? I want to see if there's anything that any particular industries or niches that we can talk about there? Andy, dentist. Yes, dentist would be a really good one for this. Anybody else? Industries, niches that you're looking at? Gary's asking, yes, how do you transition from the interview to working with you? Well, we're going to talk about that. It's very, very easy, smooth transition. Mickey, lawyers, chiropractors, yep, good lawyers. Medical is a good one. Just be careful about what you pick. Timothy, financial planner, very good. Carrie, I see AC dealers, telecom dealers. That could be depending on who they're working with and who their prospects are. If they're, let's see, but we'll get deeper into that. Michael, is food service niche appropriate? It very well could be, depending on what level of food service niche. But there's definitely ways that you can use this for sure. All right. Very good, Christopher. Yes, indeed. I got 2 recordings going, so we'll get this. So you can get this out. All right. So let's jump back in here, and so we're picking your prospects. You want to have a request and that your interview questions ready. You want to have your recording method set up. You want to have a transcription service, not something you want to do yourself, believe me, and pretty much have a cookie cutter article template and be ready to move into closing mode very quickly on this. So the interview request, you should be able to answer a few of these common questions. When you call, when you're talking to that doctor, that lawyer, and you're interviewing them about as a subject matter expert, before you get started, you should be prepared to answer a couple of these comfortably. So what is this interview for again? What is this interview? I'm writing an article on this subject, or I've been tasked to do an interview with a subject matter expert on this, and you pick them. Why did you pick me? Well, I picked you. I was doing a search on the internet. I looked on some of your stuff, looked at your website. You have some good information. Looks like you have some stuff that is very appropriate for what we're talking about, and that's why I picked you. It's very easy to come up with reasons why you picked them. You want to do a little bit of research. You're going to know a little bit. When I say a little bit, I don't mean spend a day on researching them. You want to know a little bit something about them. Will I get to review the article before it's published? Yes, absolutely. I will give you the final article or the interview as it stands for you to approve before it's published. And where will the article be published? Well, you folks have the simple opportunity of letting them know that you're a correspondent writer for Newswire, and so you can be on Newswire. I'm putting this in Newswire in my portfolio of articles. So it will be on Newswire, but oftentimes it gets picked up and syndicated to other news outlets, and so it may end up in a lot of different news organizations. It will pick it up, but Newswire is who I'm initially writing this article for. So you have credible reasons, you have credible sources of where you're putting this, and there's no need to elaborate and come up with this big tale of anything. Just so I'm writing for Newswire, that's where it's going to be, but oftentimes it gets distributed and syndicated to other news organizations. And they may ask you, so tell me again what it is that you do. And this is one that's really good where it starts, because that's where you can drop the seeds of what you do. Well, I'm an online media marketing strategist. I work with a lot of different businesses and professionals that want to establish themselves as an expert or authority in their field. But you want to end up in that conversation, but that's not really what I'm here to do right now. I really just want to talk to you about getting your interview. You do the takeaway. It's the takeaway. This is what I do. Well, I help businesses and professionals establish themselves as experts and authority. But we can talk about that later if you want. Really, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to do this interview. You pull that away from them, all right? And when I talk about creating curiosity and creating that desire to work for you, do not jump into a sales pitch at this point, all right? It's too early, especially if you want to have a higher value and you want to pay more. You don't want to have their guard go up at this point. You want to kill it. You want to not get into that conversation, because I can tell you, You can make more. You can set a better and higher fee if you cut that conversation off at this juncture before your interview and you publish it. So let them know, plant a seed of what you do, but let them know very clearly, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. That's not what I'm calling for. And I really would like to, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just want to see if I can get a quick interview with you. All right. So I'm going to talk about some sample interview questions, ways to do this, ways that you can create interviews. Main thing is keep it simple, keep it specific, keep it short, and keep it simple. All right. Too many people try to complicate this. There's no reason that this should be complicated at all. All right. And so here's the things that you really want to know. Write this down, because these articles, these interviews are not on the general state of an industry. If you're dealing with a chiropractor, you don't want to do a general chiropractic interview. These are very quick and very specific points that you are using to create these interviews of the article. All right, you want to tackle a very, very specific and narrow problem. You want your prospect to be able to solve that problem in your interview and be positioned as the expert. All right, this is very, very purposeful way that we do these interviews. It's very specific. You want to know why you're asking a question and what the result is. And this is really what the whole objective of this interview is you want to tackle a very specific and narrow problem. You want your prospect to solve that problem in your interview. You want them, because that's how you're positioning them as the expert, as the problem solver, right? So, and it also opens you up to many, many opportunities for continuity and tackling different problems. All right, so one specific subtopic. So, for example, we talked about chiropractor. What are the benefits of chiropractic care outside of back pain? Pick one topic. What's the benefits of chiropractic care, as it results to, let's say foot and, ankle pain, right? You want to get very, very specific. A financial advisor, you want to talk about one little known way someone can use their 401k before retirement, not on the general state of affairs of saving money. A CPA, you want to talk about one very specific mistake people make when they get an audit letter from the IRS. All right, a mortgage broker, you want to do the biggest misconception of first-time home buyers have about getting the loan. Right? Or a custody attorney, little known rights that grandparents have. Now, who can tell me why you want to hone in on a very, very, very specific topic when you do this? Right? Who has that figured out? Why you wanted to get very, very topic specific? Throw that in the question box. Right? Could be more newsworthy to help it get found easier. Yep. Christopher niches is more powerful. Carry easy to answer. Credibility for the article. Yep. I'm going to tell you one there, and remember, there are so many sub-levels of why you want to do this. Also, if you're talking to a mortgage broker on the biggest misconception for first-time homebuyers have about getting a loan, how does that leave you open for continuity? Andy's got it. Opens you up to more topics to further them desire. Well, they don't just do first-time buyer loans. I also do jumbo mortgage. I also do refinance. Oh, well, great, because I have a program where I have a monthly retainer where we can continually position you as an expert on any number of things. If a financial advisor sees that you've set them up as a very credible expert in one specific way for a 401 before retirement, how many other little niche topics do you think he would like to be seen as an expert in that you could do this over and over again for 12, 24, 48 months, that you can continually position them or continually build up their positioning as a subject matter authority in their industry. So does everyone see the number of reasons of why we want to niche this down? One, because you don't want any more than a 10 to 15 minute interview, right? Because that's going to give you plenty of information for what you want. Two, you want to make them found on one very specific topic, because they can see if you could make them look good on that topic, if one is great, more is better. right? And two, you want to, the people that are about first-time home buyers, you want this one specific question to be answered, and you want to position this person as the expert, the educator, and the advocate for that person's success. You want that person to see them as the authority, as the expert. That's who I want to work with. So that's why you want to keep this very, 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 very specific as you're creating this. So let me give you some examples of how to phrase these questions. Real quick, how many of you remember, you remember the books? They probably still have them if you have kids. What are the books where you just have the fill in the blanks, you know, and it makes the funny story? Mad Libs, was that what it was? Mad Libs? So I want you to think about Mad Libs when you're doing these interviews. This isn't something that has to go deep, deep, deep into their subject matter. Remember, it's a 10 to 15 minute interview on very specific. So here's some sample questions that you can think of and write these down. And a lot of you can probably fill in the blanks to some of the type of clients that you're working with now, the type of clients you want to work with. All right, so here's sample interview questions. All right, and let me get this. One, you know, a lot of people think blank. What are your thoughts on this perception? All right, so how could you fill that in? If it's first-time home buyers, you know, a lot of people think that they have to have perfect credit and been at their, you know, job, whatever, or you just leave it a perfect credit. A lot of people think they have perfect credit in order to buy a house. Now, what are your thoughts on this perception? That's an easy. You're throwing them softballs, right? Is it really possible for a person that doesn't have a lot of money saved to still buy a house without a big down payment, right? You see where this is going. How can someone who has only been at their job for a few months still be able to buy a house, right? What kind of blank does someone need to do this? You know, what kind of down payment does someone, you know, what kind of credit does someone need to be able to do this? You know, what are some of the things that, you know, people do, you know, what are, as far as detrimental activities, you know, what are the things people do as far as going out and you know, buying a lot of stuff on their credit card, how can that affect your ability to get a first-time home loan, right? Can you give us an example of how you can, you know, be able to buy a house for, you know, X amount of money and still, you know, have enough to live on? You see where these are very simple things to fill in the blanks on a lot of different industries. What are some of the other things that are supposed to, you know, help, but can actually hurt your chances of success? So it might be, you know, what are some of the things like canceling credit card accounts or paying off or whatever that people think will help them get a loan, but can actually hurt their chances of getting a loan? And then what about popular misconceptions? That's a good way to do it, you know, correct? So for example, you know, if you're doing a chiropractor, you know, what about letting your spouse crack your back? You know, if you are having trouble, that's a good way to do it, right? You're throwing them softballs so they can jump in and answer questions very easily and appear in your position as the expert. So to wrap this up, what is the one thing that someone must consider to successfully, and whatever it is, to successfully you know, purchase their first home, to successfully be able to use their 401k before they're at retirement age, right? So does everyone understand the purpose of these questions and the how to phrase these so that you really are giving them the softball questions? You're not going deep into it. You're not trying to write this, you know, the ultimate guide to mortgages, the ultimate guide to what? You're just doing a simple piece. Watch the morning news. Watch the morning Fox or whatever local where they have the person. I've had people go on and do, you know, what are some simple things people can do to their house when they're trying to sell it, to fix it up. You know, I've had, you know, hairstylists go on. You know, what are simple things people can do if they're going out? This is almost like kind of light fluff, but it really is about positioning. How many of you can see, using these type of questions, that you can fill in the blanks very, very quickly, doing about, you know, even 10 minutes of research on a business by just even looking at their website, right? All right, very good. Yep, Carrie says very easily. Anyone else? Did anybody else feel that they could easily craft a quick? And I will tell you, these questions right here will give you far more than a 10 to 15 minute interview oftentimes, right? The main thing is you don't want to give yes or no questions. You don't want to give questions that they can answer yes or no to. All right, so you can, but you can see where these type of fill in the blank questions, you can be prepared. And one thing I suggest you do is if you find a niche, like Andy was talking about dentists and Mickey was talking about lawyers and chiropractors, find a group that you can do and have these questions, and you can talk to several of them. You can talk to several of them and get very, very, knowledgeable around that niche so that you can continue on and consistently, work with people in these niches. Because you can alternate these questions. You can talk to one mortgage person about first-time homebuyers. You can talk to another one 10 minutes later about, refinancing, right? So if you stick within a niche, you're going to find you're going to get very knowledgeable about that niche and can do these very, very quickly, very, very easily. All right. So recording and transcription. Here's where it real important. Be prepared to have an easy way to record your interview by phone or in person. All right, folks, you wanted real answers, right? I'm about to give you real answers. I always get people coming back to me. Do not try and do this with Skype or Google Hangouts. All right, I know I'm going against, the craze and the buzz. Do not. These are not internet marketing folks. These are not necessarily technical savvy folks. Do not try and do this with Skype or Google Hangouts. I don't care. I'm not saying that those aren't great things. I'm not saying there's not great products showing you how to take advantage of these. But when you're interacting with a business owner, a professional, you want to make it as simple and familiar process for the prospect as possible. All right? Please, I really want to get an acknowledgement from everyone that they understand why. Regardless of how much you might love Google Hangouts or love Skype, do you understand that the real world oftentimes has no clue to what these things are? And when you introduce an unfamiliar process to them, you immediately are creating friction. People understand how to use the phone. All right, so as much as you may be good at getting on Skype, as much as you may be good at doing Google Hangouts, and as cool and as shiny as they are, you are going to be doing yourself a disservice, and you are going to lose prospects that otherwise would be fantastic simply because you're introducing this foreign element to the situation. All right, so that's the real answer. I could get on here and give you the easy answer, like, man, just jump on a Google Hangout and it would be cool and hit record and all that. Don't do it with this situation. This situation, stick to what the average professional understands and just get on the phone and record the interview. All right, does everyone agree? Make sure, give me an I to make sure you understand that, because I don't want it, but I don't want you thinking Jack doesn't like Google Hangouts, because you'd be wrong. I'm saying I'm giving you the path of least resistance, the minimum effective dose to getting this done. All right, and it's getting on the phone and doing this. All right, so the transcriptions, recording and transcriptions, freeconferencecall.com. I use it all the time. In fact, I have several accounts with them. It's the easiest way to do this, to put this together. Free conference, you can sign up with a free account, costs you absolutely nothing. You get an account, you get on the phone, you both dial into a conference number, you hit *9 to start recording it, it's recorded. They don't do anything differently except for when they answer, when they call in, all they have to do is put in their access code and pound so they can get into the conference room. That's it. And I will promise you, you'll have so much less frustration, less resistance than if you tried to do it with via Skype or Google Hangout. All right. Oops. Next one. Recording and transcription. As far as the transcriptions, if I'm going to tell you, you're not doing yourself a service. You're not spending your time wisely if you sit and try to transcribe this yourself, unless that's something you're really good at or you're done. You can go to Fiverr and get 10 minutes of audio very, very inexpensively, $5 to $10 for 10 to 15 minutes of audio. It will probably not come back perfect. I spend $1.50 per minute on my transcriptions because I want them to come back ready to use. I don't want to do it, but if you're on a budget and you're doing it, you can easily get very inexpensive transcriptions. Just be prepared to go in and clean them up. However, you'll be much better off doing that than trying to sit and transcribing themselves. You may, if you have software that you're good at, I've never been able to master the Dragon Speak or any of that stuff. If you're good at that, do that, whatever. But get the transcription, created for that. And so what you can do is you have a couple of different choices depending on where you want to, how you want to do this and put this to use. You're going to publish this. So one way to do it that I've done it is in, some people call it the Playboy magazine style interview. It literally is you, a question, and their answer transcribed with all the ums and the ahs pulled out. All right, it's literally a written version of your interview. And that's one of the easiest ways to do that, and that's the way that I would suggest that you start when you're starting. If you want to knock a few of these out as you're working on your close and working on this type of the next one is to take that and then craft that into a short article that you can publish as an article. But you can do it as an interview style, and like I said, that's one of the quickest and easiest ways to do that, especially as you're getting started. Just make sure that their transcript is cleaned up, their ums and ahs are out, and then you create a simple introduction to the interview, and then a powerful conclusion, like after the interview, where pretty much you're just creating a third person talking about that person as an expert, as a leader in their field, and that information you can easily grab from their bios and things like that on their website. But you want to make sure that it comes from a third person voice and not them. You don't want it to say I, me, any of that. You want it to come from a third person, which is you. And then, of course, the next thing you do is you publish that sucker out there on your Newswire or wherever, just places that you want to publish this. But Newswire, that's one of the great benefits of Newswire, is how difficult do you think that it would be for you to get that article ranked for that business owner's name or business name using Newswire? All right, I want to see, throw that in the question box. How many people think that you could probably do that this afternoon, is rank a business owner on their name, on their for their own professional. Remember, not SEO, not keywords, not anything. All right. I will tell you what I like to do is, if you look at this, really what I'm wanting to do is to make sure, I want to get a business owner when people look for their name, but you want there to be good stuff around their name. So what I like to do is make sure that the expert's name is in the title. I like to make sure that if you're doing local business, that the city is in the title and the newsworthy item. So what you want that title to be is a synopsis or a short version of why that person is an expert, right? So if you were going to do, let's say a chiropractor, all right, a lot of people when they're doing SEO, they don't even have that person's name in the they don't even have that person's name in the title, right? So what I want to do to show you, let's do this here. I want to demonstrate some of this and see how we're doing live without a net, so I can show you here. All right, so I'm going to go out to, I'm actually here on Newswire right now. All right, and let's go through, and you tell me right now, I guarantee you have a lot of information and probably can spot the ways to do this. right here. Okay, so look at this this article. Boulder real estate agent Terry Cox details Newlands neighborhood. Do you think that's a good way to do it for what we're doing it, for the way that we're doing this? I'm gonna right click and see. That just recently came up, so I'm not sure if it's. All right, well, so Boulder real estate agent interviewed. All right, so what do you think is going to be a better to do with that with Terry Cox? So someone's doing their due diligence. Hey, when I'm looking at this Terry Cox person, and want to know, let me dig in a little, find out a little bit about what she's about. If I should choose her over some of the other, what do you think someone is going to type into the search engines if they want to check out Terry Cox, if they're looking for a real estate agent in Boulder? All right. Put on your local consumer hat, right? So they're probably not going to put any of that stuff. They're probably going to put like Terry Cox, Boulder real estate agent, something to that effect, right? So what you want to do is make sure that when someone looks her up and what she's doing, and if it's a particular type of boulder, or a particular area of Boulder, particular type of real estate, if she's Boulder real estate, she's a first-time home buyer, I don't know what her specialty is. But you want to make sure that build this to where it comes up so that they see some good stuff is happening around that person, right? So let's dig in a little deeper, older, to some stuff that's had some chance to put that out. Yeah, very good. Let me go into. Let me go a few more. Come on. Let me go find a. Go to the newsroom here and look at some different. Let's go into local. Who wants to go into? Let's see. We can pick something. We can do. We'll do Arizona. How about? All right. So here's a perfect example. Goodyear Chiropractor offers. I have no idea what that joint pain therapy treatment to patients. All right. So who could tell me? Is that a keyword release, or is that a expert credibility release? Timothy, you have one that you want to do? Give me some keywords or something to do, and I'll do one. All right, so that's keyword, right? If someone wanted to build the credibility of that person, right, what would they do instead? Here's one. Chiropractor Joe interviewed, right? But one thing you want to do is try to get a little more exciting than just interviewed, right? A little bit more exciting, like Florence, Arizona chiropractor, Ashley Wagger Jones. What is the interview about, right? If you go into it, you want to let's see, expert on prenatal chiropractic, right there. That's a perfect one that you want to dig into. So chiropractic Dr. Ashley Jones, right, interviewed about pediatric and prenatal chiropractic care, right? It's setting them up as an expert in that, and it also niches down tremendously. Let's see, Timothy, let me see if I can get this one here that you did. Let's see. Where am I here? Let's try this. Statewide home. All right. Look at this right here. Now, this guy has a pretty unique name, and depending on if anybody's looking at it, you think about this person, whatever this business does, right? What if it's their creditors? What if they, because that's one thing in the real estate when I first started doing this was because I had a client that wanted to come up when his bankers and creditors looked him up because he wanted to make sure that he had a good clean. Now, granted, this guy has a really unique name, so so even on his name, depending on what he's done, what is it that they do? Because that's what people are going to look at for earn certifications. Owner of home energy efficiency. Okay, so home efficiency, would it be? Don't ask me how to spell it. All right, so somebody's doing some research on him. What comes up for Mr. Radu, right? This is where you really have an opportunity to help these folks. That it's not about when people are looking for their business. It's people. I love finding business. I always call them they're hiding in plain sight. Businesses that are already spending money on SEO, on pay-per-click, and you can swoop in and make people pick them. Because if someone's just looking for their type of business, they're finding them and their competitors to do that with and try to make a decision. But when they go and find their competitors, then that's where the big difference, one of the big differences. How many? So who's doing dentist, right? I think Andy was doing dentist. I want to go through real quick and show you how many of you are doing medical, any kind of medical niches at all. Who's doing medical? I want to show. Has anybody seen me talk about this? I haven't talked about it that much because it really is one of the big wide open opportunities here. How many of you have heard of this thing called Obamacare? I don't know if you know. All right, so Mickey got surgeon, bigger regions. All right, so let me show you one of the great ways to help businesses. If you haven't, if you have heard me, I know there's a couple of folks on here that I've talked to before, but I want to make sure give you something. This is a strategy that is just so wide open. I mean, so incredibly wide open to be able to help folks in the medical. Here we go, Catherine. 40 years in the medical field. What did you do in the medical field, Catherine? I want to get someone that can give me a verification on this. All right. So, okay, this is where I need a little participation. I want to find out from you folks. And if you've already seen me talk about this, I know a couple of people I haven't talked about it a lot, but I want to see. So, if you were helping someone in the medical field, a dentist, a doctor, anything like that, with to their online marketing. Let's say a podiatrist, right? Let's do a podiatrist. What would you do to help them to beef up their online marketing if you're working with a podiatrist? What do you think is one of the quickest ways for you to help them with their to get business or to show that an actual that what you do is working? Anybody have an idea? And for those who are saying, what's a podiatrist? Some foot. All right. Right? Got to do article on common problems. Right? Well, most people immediately go to keywords, right? Foot pain, ingrown toenails, foot odor, right? That's where the mind goes. But I will tell you, one of the quickest and easiest ways to help medical folks, and this is in the U.S., is to rank them on their name as a doctor, because it's so wide open and neglected. So the reason I was saying it usually is insurance. Michael, very good. I don't know if you've heard me talk about that. If you take off your internet marketing hat and just think of yourself as a consumer, how do most consumers look for a doctor if they need to find a new doctor? Who can tell me? All right, come on. If this is new to you, how do most people do? I already gave it away, but most people say, well, go to Google, go to do this. Well, the fact is, in the U.S., one of the most common ways people find a new doctor is they go to their company's insurance. They go to find out, who does my insurance pay for, right? They could ask for referrals. That's another way, a very, very popular way. But I can tell you, you can have the greatest marketing in the world, but someone that is an insurance plan, if you're not on their insurance, they're not going to come to see you unless it's some very high-end specialty. But as far as the average doctor, people don't go to Google and look for a doctor and then see if they're on their insurance. They go to their insurance, find 3 to 5 doctors within their 5-mile radius, general geographic area. And then they Google those individual doctors to find out more about them. Are they young? Are they old? Are they male? Are they female? To find out more. And I can tell you what degree they have or what school they went to is not what they're looking for. They're looking for some human elements. So one of the easiest ways is if you go to look for like Cigna insurance provider, right? Just do Cigna insurance providers, a directory, all right? You can go to a directory here and you can find who's, let's see, we'll just go for a city. Let's do, I'll do Denver, right? I'm just going to sort by specialty. Let me see. All right, let's see if it's taking a while. All right, so we go here, Cigna and the results. So I want you to look at these doctors right here in Cigna's insurance. Now I'm going to go down. I haven't tried this, at all. Nothing geared up here. So I'm just going to right-click and search for this doctor. Let's find out about this doctor. Now, who can tell me right now where the opportunity is? Do you see nothing about this doctor as they appear in their insurance? Let's go to the next one. And the next one. Finally somebody that at least has their Google Plus claimed, but not even optimized with their picture. Let's do the next one. Another one has something claimed, but still doesn't have their picture or anything there. I can tell you that's not optimized. But do you see why there's absolutely no, this is so wide open, because people are looking for these doctors' names all the time. And a lot of times they're on, they're at some facility that they're not even practicing at anymore. The thing is, these people all spend money on pay-per-click and SEO on key terms when there is such a huge population of people that are out there looking based on their listing in the insurance provider directories, and 2, referrals from friends. When a friend says, oh, you know what, you should go see Dr. Zaida. Pretty good. What are they going to do? They're going to go Google Dr. Zaida and see what is there. And what do you have here? Nothing but just static directories, very sterile directory listings that you could probably go and spend 10 minutes even looking for a picture of Dr. Zaida. And I can tell you that's the kind of stuff that people are looking for. So medical, we could go through this all day in almost any practice. Go down, you'll find doctors that have almost nothing optimized on their name. And what do you think you could do with a Newswire account about making that doctor look like they're up to something, or making that doctor look like they are the one that someone should pick when they're going down the list of insurance providers, right? So that right there is a huge opportunity. Does everybody see that opportunity right there? If you do, put an I in there. I want to make sure that you don't miss that one right there, because if you're doing any kind of medical marketing or anything like that, you should really, really, really get focused on optimizing for the doctors' names. But you can also do that in a lot of different fields, because referral, so many people miss referrals. When someone refers you to someone, what do? You go, that's the due diligence. That's what we do these days. We go and Google their name. That's what happens. What do they find? What are they going to find when someone Googles your name? That's one of the great questions that I would ask a business when they're talking about, their internet marketing. Well, what happens when I Google your name? That's fine. You're on the front page of Google for Denver, personal injury attorney, but 7 to 10 of your competitors are on there too. The next thing people are going to do is start Googling your names. What are they going to find about you that's going to create the tipping point? And then when they get some things, that's what I do. I help you create that tipping point. All right, so that's the benefit of how using on Newswire, the difference between doing it as key phrase or keyword type elements or type pieces, to focusing on that expert's name, what the expert, the city, the expert name, the business niche that expert in, and what the news, what's relevant, the newsworthy about that. If you cram all that into the title, then you have an opportunity to do what? You've got to have an opportunity to help them month after month. And how many of you right now are confident, more confident in your ability to do that than you are in doing most any other kind of SEO or marketing? And you can be honest. Some of you are really good at SEO, and that's great. But how many of you right now are more confident that you can go out and just, I hate the word dominate is so overused, but how many of you right now are confident that you could go out and dominate on a business owner's name month after month over doing key phrase and traffic-based type stuff? Right? Perfect. All right. Very good. Okay, so Carrie, so how do you transition that into service? Let me do that so I can get onto the book stuff. All right, here's the by the way close. I'm not sure if everyone can see that. Let me do that. Hopefully you can see that. Might be small. This is the by the way close. All right, when you publish your article on that person, when you publish that article, you want to send them an email. You don't want to spend a lot of time. Remember, a quick interview, 10 to 15 minutes, get it published on Newswire, get it ranked, send it out there. By the way, close. Hi, whatever your prospect name. Just want to let you know your interview or article has been published and is online, and you can give them a link to that. All right? Or if the article is ranking well for their name and industry, you can add. You can also go to Google and just type in your name, city, Dr. So-and-so, Miami chiropractor. And this will be a great piece for your prospects or vendors to find when they are researching you online. All right. Thanks again for your time. You have some really valuable information. All right. So here's the psychology of this first part. The psychology of this first part is that you are hitting the dopamine button. All right. And if you don't think that you are hitting the ego immediately when they can type in their name and seeing good stuff about them, your intro, that closeout, and their interview, that you've got them, that they just type in their name and what they do, or you give them a link, and there they are right there on the internet with an article published on Newswire about them, positioning them as that expert or authority. All right, so that right there is the element that hits the dopamine button and opens the ego. Now the by the way. You have a PS in there, you do a by the way. By the way, if you're interested in getting broader exposure and would like to position yourself as the local experts when your prospects, vendors, creditors look for you online, let me know. That's what I do. Let me know soon. I have 3 campaigns available this month. If you're interested, I can get you on the schedule. I think you're perfect to be positioned as the local whatever expert. And then you have your name and your phone number on there. Now, who do you think are the only people they're going to call? All right, and that's an email. You want to send that as an email. Remember, direct mail, this isn't a cold. This isn't cold, right? This is what you want to, they're already familiar with. You're just shooting them an email saying, hey, here's your interview, the article, I got it up there. and hit the dopamine button, let their engage their ego and let them see, and then use the by the way. The people that will call you back, and I showed you a very simple version of this. One version that I also use is where I actually have the pricing in there, that I do a special campaign for your name. I generally charge $1,500 to $2,000, whatever you're comfortable with doing that. However, since I can give you a discount on that, since we already did your interview, let me know. I have 2 spots open next week. So what are you doing right there? What do you see happening in internet marketing every single day when there's a limit on when this is available, how long it's available? What elements of psychological marketing do you have in this by the way email? Who can identify those elements of psychological marketing? A lot of you popped up with there. Scarcity. Do you understand why that scarcity is beneficial in there? How many of you immediately see the power of that scarcity and urgency, as Carrie puts out? How many of you immediately see that versus call me sometime if you want to talk about this? All right, you have scarcity, but you also have a why. You cannot have scarcity and urgency without a why. You've already hit their ego. Actually, very good. Andy put scarcity plus ego equals dollar signs. All right, you not just have scarcity, you have a why. By the way, if you are interested in getting broader exposure and would like to position yourself as the local expert when your prospects, creditors, vendors, and creditors look for you online, let me know. All right, who immediately thinks, no, I wouldn't want that? All right, that's what you've just positioned. You put a statement in there that there is not 99.9% of the people that you would do this for would not have a no to that answer. They would immediately, yes, I would like that. And in that, with a very emphatic statement of, that's what I do. All right, not one of the things I do or something I can help you with. That's what I do. Let me know soon. I have 3 campaigns available this month. If you're interested, I can get you on the schedule. Right there, you've introduced that the schedule. And if you want to add the element of, normally I charge, $2,000, whatever you want to say, $1,500, $2,000 for this. However, I can't offer you a discount since you've already done the interview with me. What other element does that add into there? That they will be wasting that discount if they don't do that, right? How many of you feel more compelled to purchase if you go to a store and you see something that's whatever $200? But they say, "Oh, I see here that you are you bought something, or you're a member. You're one of our loyal members. If this is something you're interested in purchasing, you can get it for 25% off, right?" Well, what does that do? All of a sudden now, it's not that I can have this TV. I'm going to lose this discount if I don't do that. Very good, Carrie. Very good. Carrie says Amazon does it to her all the time. Right? And so this is exactly what you're doing here. And if you put your pricing in here, some people are uncomfortable with putting that in there. Here's what that does. If you have, I normally charge $2,000 for this, or I normally charge $1,500 for this. However, I can offer this as a discount since we've already done your interview. What do you think the level of interest that your prospect has if you get a phone call back from them saying, I want to know more? What is that level of interest? They already know the price range you're talking about. And they're cool with that, especially if they can get a discount. They may call and say, I want to know more, but what they're really doing is calling and saying, convince me. Make this just drop dead easy for me to say yes to. They want it, but they're not going to pick up the phone and call you and say, I want it. Some of them will, but some of them won't. All All right, does everyone understand this? So this is very, very powerful. In fact, here's what I'm going to recommend you do. Everybody on here, on your computer right now, if you have screen capture software or anything like that, screen capture that right now, and you're free to take that and use it to when you do this. Just screen capture that. And I'll put it up again later here too to make sure. All right. Carrie says already done. Very good. All right. So how many of you like that, by the way, close? How many of you see the psychological, those psychological trigger points in there? All right, very good. Yes, the by the way close. And do you ever get rejected? Do you ever have to try to pitch someone and get a no? The only people that are calling you back, which I can tell you, if you do it right, you'll have a fairly high percentage of calling you back, are already wanting to do business with you. They want to do that, right? Carrie says, are you about to pull it on us? I'm not. And you know what? I can tell you some of you will just be disappointed that I don't have something to sell you. This is, I want you to think about your own psychology when you do this. How many of you on here right now have a little secret desire in their head right now? I hope he has something for us to buy to do this, right? And I'm going to tell you up front right now, I don't, but this is one of my, I always tell people I hate selling, but I love to make people want to buy. That's why anytime I do talks at events, and I do, I speak at different industry events. I did a private personal injury attorney mastermind retreat where I taught, and you don't have to sell anything, but when you talk to people about that, they'll come up to you afterwards. What do I need to do to work with you? How can we work together? That's the position that you want to do, because I can tell you no one's talking to them about this stuff for sure. All right, so now let's get on to, all right, so real quick, does everybody, or at least most of you, how many of you have a new strategy or a new angle of how you can use this that you might not have thought about before? All right. Okay. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted you to get out of this. Is a way that you can use this that is a little bit different, and also a way that I find much easier than approaching people about SEO or typical internet marketing with this, because it really is extremely powerful.